We are also live via the Wesley Guild South Africa. So for those who are, make sure that you also follow us using that platform as well. You can place your comments, you can place your questions on that page as well. We will be able to try and flight as much as we can. Thirdly, we are also flighting using on the Politique Facebook page, which is now on Politique Facebook page. We are also flying using that one as well. So we've got a variety of platforms on and so forth. But many important things we might say, we need you to subscribe to the Politique Facebook, YouTube channel. This is how Politique is written. Pont de Politique, it's French. Pont de Politique. Subscribe and follow us, and we will be able see all the episodes that are taking place. Ordinarily, the Politique runs its episodes on Sunday at 6, but because of the great day of Biko, we then opted to say, let us have this conversation on this wonderful birthday of Bantu Biko. Now, as an introduction to this conversation, we have read and we have seen some of the contributors and their understanding of how do we perceive Biko in the current context. And Africa Andile, Dr. Andile Africa, he says Biko must be understood in 3 stages, and they are definite. He says, within 3 stages, and he says the first stage consists of his heightened participation in the NUSA's leadership and the NUSA's leadership affairs. He's continued with liberal whites. He had led a breakaway movement. Biko, as or what we would say, it was a at the time. So that is the of understanding Biko in the eye, the understanding of the Andile Mafrica. And then he says the second stage is that Biko managed a political transformation from what Black students at the time knew and believed for a very long time. He says a politics of non-racialism, where he moved Biko a new and formative unknown philosophy. And then he says, he further, Dr. Mafrica, how Steve Biko, as the leader of SASO, unified Blacks around this view of Black consciousness, and how he led them to commit to the cause of their oppression. That is the second stage with which Dr. Mafrica says we must understand Biko. That stage, he therefore says, and it is the most important in Dr. Mafrica's understanding, when Biko led the social development through community projects, this is an important aspect and in Black community programs. And institutions of the people. Champion that he was Eastern Cape. He further says the human resources drivers and guardians all together to work together for their people and ages. He says the highest point of being, of course, that is a beautiful submission by Dr. I agree with Dr. Africa on the issue. If Biko was self-made, what political training he had, he built it himself. Whatever fortitude he had of brutal violence, of the special whatever statesmanship he exhibited while raising the question of the condition, he built it himself. That is why South Africa agreed to invest Steve Biko as a symbolic point, because Biko was a creation of an environment with which Biko was not alone in the development of these ideas. That there were other activists, there were other because ideas do not fall from the sky. An example of the older brother of Bantu was Khena. The ideas of Khena cannot be overruled, which were around him also cannot overrule. The idea that Dr. Mafrika is raising here about it reflects elements of some liberal understanding. Because friends, three political parties are here with us. They are going to be discussing we are of we've already Lunga, Mantashe, of the Pan-Africanist Congress of Tanzania, as we are still waiting for the president land first. We still wait to see where he is. Deputy President of Tanzanian, greetings and good evening to both of you.
Thank you, Thanda. Good
evening, Thand'Olwethu, and thank you so much for having.
I already mentioned that we are still waiting for the president, sorry, first land first discussion of today. I see, Mantashe, you are on the road today, so your light might be dramatic. It might be wiser to rather use an audio to make it easy for the eye and those who are watching able to listen so that they don't get distracted. Thank you very much. Deputy President, an important day in the eyes and in the ears and in the understanding of the Azania, the South African people, the African people in the world. And it is the 75th anniversary of Steve Biko, and a people of Black people. I want you, both of you, to start by giving us just a few minutes of what you would want to put across to the people who are watching this program. To put across, what would you want to the summation that you would want to bring on the 75th anniversary of the day? As an opening remark to you, President. After that, it will be Deputy Mantashe of the people.
Oh, so much, Thando. I think for me, it's the understanding that Steve Biko talks about when he says that I come today to remind Azanians that Black consciousness is of mind. It is a way of living. Consciousness is not a noun. It is a what we grow up calling a doing word, an action word. It is waking up in a a world that finish your being into non-existence. It is a calling. There's in a world where being black is nothing. The world sees you, where the world treats you with the oppressors have taken so much from that you tend to forget that you says wake up and be conscious of the fact that you are here and be conscious of you as a black person. I think quite pregnant that with Biko literally with the idea of being called non-black and insisted that he be referred to as black. There is power in this identity of blackness. Blackness speaks to the purity of color. Black is it has zero spectrum penetrating it. So when zero or pink or purple, black is strongest. So when you go out into the world and you call yourself black, identity and enter security. For me, Steve Biko represents, gives me the right to stand tall. I am in a world that see you, in a world that says you don't exist, consistently looks for ways to diminish my existence as a human being. And I think it's important that we get here on his 75th day, and as Azapo, we are that he is born again, because as you know, Steve Biko lives in me. Messaging his ideals live in me and give me to tread on earth with dignity and pride, and we need it more than ever.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Deputy President, for his opening words. Deputy President Lunga, Mantashe, give us your submission, 2 minutes.
Right. Thank you, Thando. And also let me send my greetings to Comrade Keketso, the Deputy President of AZAPU. And I think the opportunity to have an important conversation about Steve Biko. And I do want to indicate, Thando, at the beginning that this conversation takes a context where some Black people have transitioned into becoming a class in South Africa, a territory that is very problematic because it is a territory of some form of double consciousness. Consciousness Black on one hand, and then the consciousness of kind of moving away, because most of the Black middle class people no longer live amongst, live within the economic. So I would like to say that this is the sense that the notion of Black consciousness was supposed an idea of becoming not only aware of the self and being proud of the self, but become aware of the social, economic position. At the time of the most fundamental the seem a little complex, but our relationship with white people has been a relationship of the control of the body only, but controlling the body begin from, to say, oppressing mind in order to make the body take into the habit of submission, into the habit of docility, subservience, inferiority, nothingness, as Keketso was saying. So that it's important to explore the cognitive dimension of Black people 75 years later, at how that, for example, is aware from a national consciousness point of view, but also how from, because post 1994, one can run away from the fact that Black person is no longer just a Black person. He's a Black person who is the middle class, Black person who is the most at Queen and so on. I think this is going to be a question to have the second dimension before I sit down. I'm sorry. It's going to be the dimension of culture and culturing, because
and please
sure, because to be Black historically is to be tried and cultured as a species in order to behave, to be a particular person. So I think it's critical to have that dimensional conversation, cognitive, cultural, and economic dimension, particularly in the 21st century.
Thank you very much, DP, for those opening remarks. And this now brings us to the conversation and to start the conversation. And you've heard the two guests bringing in some opening and beautiful remarks about how we should understand Biko and how we should look into the 75th anniversary and the aspects that have been across, like for instance, Comrade Keketso mentioned something in relation to the rebirth, and which that I would want to stage on a conversation would also be looking into what the Deputy President of the PAC is talking about when he says there must be a cognitive dimension that we must consider. Only if there is not a that must be engaged on. Poverty, this to make this thing the two deputy presidents, but about all of us. DP is about the cognitive dimension, a little bit about the of Biko. I mean, the Biko is born again. Sorry, I'm using that. Go guess cause I'm out. City is born again. This is our team. We accept because convert the deputy president of the PAC, talk about and tell people how you and so on with first understanding